I'm with my partner in crime. How have you been, Sir Simon Muya?
That will cause us trouble one day because it's a tinker similar phrase. Partner in crime. I remember it and think it is a okay. Maybe the right description. Otherwise, how has been your week?
A very busy one, especially Kurudolwa for Waba Maulide. You look to be cool.
Yeah, you know, my work is to let people know what's going to come. When it finally comes, I rest.
Oh.
So I have been looking at what Parliament did this week. Then I'm like, okay, we already told people what is coming. Those who understood us will understand us and live in peace. Those who don't understand us will remain confused and...
Perhaps, how far with your push for the office of the Prime Minister?
I wrote, like I said last week, I officially wrote to the President. I delivered my letter at the office of the President here in Kampala, just behind Parliament. I got an acknowledgement of receipt from the guy at that place. The President has not called me. I've not gotten any feedback from State House yet. And I am told that some people in the office of the Prime Minister here went and picked my letter from the President's office.
Really?
Yes.
So they don't want the President to...
Yes, I'm told someone, when I said I had delivered it there, somebody went there and asked a guy called Ben and said, is it true the letter came? He said, yes, she brought a letter here. I hear that through underhand method, somebody has picked my letter from the office of the Prime Minister so that it does not reach the President. But I'll now write another one.
You're going to write another letter?
Yes, I'll write. And this time round, I'll deliver it to Okello House, I think that side of State House. But if by the 15th day of April, the President has not contacted me for a discussion on the office of the...
You're setting a deadline?
Yes, I've
set a deadline. By April 15th?
Yes. I will declare myself Prime Minister on the 16th day of April, and I will start serving de facto without any convoy, without
but
any
you need instruments.
No, I will give myself instruments.
You'll give yourself instruments?
Power belongs to the people. And the people have already given me instruments. You just go and read my Twitter account and find out the people are comfortable with me saying, you can, you can, you can, you can. So if Mr. Museveni does not believe I can, the people have said I can.
I can't wait to introduce you as Sir.
On the 16th
Right Honorable.
Right Honorable Sir Simon. It's as simple as that, 2 words. Right Honorable Sir Simon Muyanga.
Kale, eno ye ganga muka. Right Honorable to be Sir Simon Muyanga Lutaaya, your very own Adam Kungu. Tutuso kuberanga tukutwala masa. A lot has happened this week. Twalabye Parliament. It was a very, very busy week for Parliament this week. Baisiza Ebago Mulindwa, the Anti-Homosexuality Bill 2023, and it has received a lot of criticism, both internally from some, few sections of Ugandans, but also at the international scene. What is behind this? Will the pressure of Kuvambazungu change the status quo? Those are questions we are going to be responding to, or Nakolwalero, but also government. Yaze ne police yayo ku masomero. I've had some educationists and Ugandans, especially abazadde nga baga nti bino tebijja kukola. Why is it so? These and many other stories coming up just now. Let the Inside Out start.
Inside Out. Live with Sir Simon Muya and Adam Kungu. Inside Out. Live with Sir Simon Muya and Adam Kungu. This is Inside Out on Baba TV.
Baba TV, Adam Kungu, Sir Simon Muyanga, Lutaaya. The Inside Out ye kekanyomero muganga muka nga tugenda emabiga webikoza amawulire mu week. Tubitema we do it so you can use whatever we have said here okwongera okutegeera ensonga nga bwe ziri mu ggwanga. Well, Sir Simon Muyanga Lutaaya, for the second time Parliament ya Uganda yayisize etteeka erikugira ebikolwa ebya same sex mu ggwanga erya Uganda. The bill now awaits the President to assent to or not.
I've been misunderstood on this subject, because from day one I have first of all I've downplayed the importance of the bill, because I did not see the importance of the law. I agree with the Attorney General that we only needed a simple amendment or review of the Penal Code Act to include a few things that had been left out, like what they are calling the promotion of homosexuality in the country. First, the law widens the scope or the net or the definition of homosexuals to include those who do the act, but also those of us who talk about it, who will share into the punishments.
Yeah.
It now means that the scope of homosexuality in Uganda is broader than it were. That's what my brother Sumani Basarwa has done. So it is not only those who practice it now, but also those who talk about it, whether positively or negatively. If the legal man establishes that what you have said or what you are doing promotes homosexuality, you are equally liable. We'll give examples, for example. If if two people who are thought to be homosexuals peck or hug each other, and a journalist takes a picture of the same and publishes it, and in one way or the other the law finds that a promotion of it, then you will be charged equally.
Just a second there. One of the loopholes konsonga yemugenda byemu bagolino teri defining promotion chechi,
because balikoze bapapa. It was a gang thing. It was a gang law.
Because much as they define some of other key issues mu bagolino, promotion was not defined.
It was not defined.
So which means nti kino kyoyogera singa teeka interpretation ya court ne teeka eraga nti okuba ekifaananyi
n'okiraga mu mawulire
is a promotion. You are in for it,
and the punishment is the same.
Let's just look at the punishments. Producer tulage punishments.
The punishments are the same.
Screen
ali ekisiyaga n'alowoozebwa nti akyogerera bulungi ekibonerezo kyekimu. This is quite awkward.
Because when I was reading this bill, Sir Simon Muyanga Lutaaya, nalabye, producer tukoze bulungi. Just look at that ku screen yo. And I would like you to scroll a little bit tulabe ekibonerezo eky'omwenda ekikwata ku media. Because what nulia number 9?
No, number 3 also. A person convicted of promotion of homosexuality. And now the promotion, because like I said, if I wrote something about this, like I've been talking about it, and it is deemed that what I say is promoting, I have 20 years equal to someone who practices homosexuality outrightly at 20 years, and what they are calling aggravated homosexuality, I do not know. The fact that Parliament got time to sit and think about this and start then defining this, make it that formal and define, is a problem in itself. But whichever way it is.
Let's look at number 9. Before you get that off, let's have a clear view of number 9.
That's number 9.
Yes.
Assuming the...
When you look at number 9, it says media houses that publish materials that promote homosexuality. So we are talking about publication or even airing materials that are deemed to be promoting homosexuality. You pay a fine of 1 billion.
1 billion and the license revoked for 10 years. Now what kind of law is this? What kind of law is that? Just look at that. Is it practical? You pay a fine of 1 billion. And then you have your license revoked for 10 years. It simply means if a media house like Baba TV, like we are here, publishes materials that the law looks at as promoting homosexuality, you pay 1 billion and close the station. There's nothing like license revoked. No, it is as simple as you close Baba TV now. And you can only reopen it after 10 years. Yeah. Now, what type of law is that? That's extremely harsh.
It's extremely harsh.
It's extremely harsh, especially for a subject that you have not defined. Because if we are doing a story here about homosexuals, if we have a case in police about homosexuals, we'll publish materials and sometimes even want to show the images of what these people were doing that tantamounts homosexuality. If anybody who hates us says in doing that we are promoting, the law says Baba TV should be closed for 10 years and the above closure pay a fine of 1 billion. Now.
Well, let's look at other punishments again. I find so many problems with what Sir Simon Muya is saying. The law itself there has an issue that you pay a fine of 1 billion Uganda shillings, and again your license is revoked.
No, and you're closed down. Do not say revoked. You are closed down, man. Which other business will resume after 10 years?
You'll be closing forever.
Yes, you close. And which other TV station or radio station would operate without a license? It's as simple as that. You close them down. Now, I want to look at the other cases I've provided. Are they saying this homosexuality is a bigger crime than all the others we have had? And let us look at the punishments provided for other cases like murder, like rape, like corruption, like Kubamabati and the others. Is this the worst? So the punishments are extraordinarily harsh. They don't help the offender to reform. The law was made in a way that there is no room for rehabilitation of the victims or even the offenders. Yet the purpose of prisons is to have an opportunity to rehabilitate the offenders.
Did you say the law was hurriedly passed?
Yes, the law was hurriedly passed. That's one. Two, like we said, this law
They said it was urgent, so it needed urgent attention.
There was no urgency at all. What was the urgency about? What was it about?
The ongoing promotion.
Where? That's promoting.
But we've seen clips of, people practicing homosexuality on social media.
Where? On social media, which mukutu? That there are so many mikutus doing that. For example, for somebody to warrant a punishment of 1 billion revoking of our license, it means that many media houses are practicing that. Is that true? Have we been promoting homosexuality?
No, social media.
But they have talked about a media house. They have talked about a media house. What if, in what they are calling a media house, somebody, for one reason or the other, we have seen people plant fake news on our websites. Post something there. You know how people have hacked into our things and then they put that. And two, what is promoting it?
The law doesn't define it. Their bill, they didn't define promotion.
What is promoting?
They just left it there.
So, what is promotion? And so, the makers of this law have made the same mistake that the makers of the first law made. In fact, the makers of the Kadaga law, the first one that Kadaga talked about, was actually better.
The 2014?
It had the spirit, the real spirit, the true spirit of fighting homosexuality. It set out harsh terms, harsh sentences for what they thought was homosexuality. Now, the improvement of the law, to me, I don't know. But again, I'm just happy that this law, there are enough loopholes for this law to be challenged.
Really?
Yes.
You're happy?
Yes, I'm happy.
No, that should worry you.
No. There are enough loopholes for this law to be challenged in court and to be defeated.
Well, as we speak, Andrew Mwenda, one of those people that challenged this, the previous bill, more constitutional court, yesterday vowed that should the head of state assent
to the law,
to the bill, he is ready to go back to court and challenge it.
And I can now tell him, whoever knows where Andrew Mwenda is, that I will join him.
You will join him to do what?
In the court battle against this. If the president assents to this kind of law, and Mwenda goes to court, I'll append my signature to his case.
So what are you against? Are you against the law or some sections of the law?
Dishonesty. I'm just against dishonesty with the things we are doing. The dishonesty. The gang character of the way we do things, like gangs. You know, we behave at some point, you see people behaving like beasts. You listen to the debate of the law, you must have been able to find out that the substance, people are debating out of emotion, sentimental, fictitious things. The debate of the substance, the kinyusi. You see in their debate, somebody simply comes to tell Parliament that, you know, the sweetest thing on earth that a man has is a woman. We know it is sweet. It has always been sweet even from Adam and Eve. So, what else?
Father Nen, Parliament.
But within its sweetness,
there is nothing which is as sweet
to a man
as a woman. And so he was wondering, why should men go for fellow men?
It is Father Nen saying,
yes.
Where did he test the sweetness of the woman?
The testing.
When?
He's a father.
Yes. When did he test it? That he says that for all the things he has tested on earth, the most sweet, the sweetest is and his father.
So is that what you call sentimental or ganga kind of doing things?
And that's it.
Well, I just need to give you information.
The Museveni issue has been, and what we have been doing as teachers, to look at cognitively, what is is homosexuality a problem of the mind?
I request that we go to that later on. But again, just to give you some information, Sir Simon Muyanga, Lutaaya, this time round, I don't know the grounds you will base on to challenge the bill. At least
one of the loopholes you have said, promotion is not defined. That's two. These punishments, sentences are too harsh, especially for a media house. The punishment for a media house promoting or deemed to be promoting is bigger than the punishment for the person who has committed homosexuality. That the person who has committed homosexuality will be in prison for 20 years. But for me, a media house will be closed. You know what it means? That when you close a media house, the taxes, the jobs, the service, everything. And then on top of that, I pay 1 billion. So in this law, I don't know what's wrong. In this law, Parliament looked at the media houses as more offenders than the offenders themselves. The harsh punishment for me as a media house, 1 billion, and if you look at what I lose if you revoke my license for 10 years. So it's like, I don't know.
But again, we saw nearly 450 members of Parliament physically attending session, but also others were even on Zoom.
Now
that alone communicated something, Sir Simon, that Parliament seemed to be united kunsonga y'ekisiyaga mu ggwanga.
We can start with that when we return.
Katuwumulemu katono tujje tutandikira tovaawo. Biraba. Well, Sir Simon Muyanga, Lutaaya, as we continue, I would request you to look at these punishments again, specifically number 7, Simanyoba producer has Kutulaga again what this number 7 is all about. Number 7, the owner of the premises that promote homosexuality could be arrested for detained for 10 years. That's the punishment. 10 years. You have your
the owner of the premises that promote homosexuality. The owner of the premises that promote homosexuality. Now, that has 2 questions to ask. Homosexuality is an act of the privacy. People do it in private. If they are renting on my house, on my buildings, hardly do I know what they do inside the bedrooms. Hardly do I know. And I can have them on my premises for 10 years or so, because this guy or these 2 guys could be good at paying my rent. If it is discovered that for 10 years they have stayed at my house and they have been doing that, am I considered to be promoting? And so because of that, I as a landlord who has not practiced homosexuality, but just built my houses and rented them to someone who has been found to be a homosexual, I go to prison for 10 years. Is that realistic?
Because how would I know that they are homosexual?
That's one. 2, some of these landlords actually, I don't want to stay with landlords on the same house. Some of these landlords whose houses we are occupying are out of the country. We just put their money on the accounts. We just send money electronically. They are not here. He says, Mulimutiaye, okay. They don't even know. Some of them don't even know who exactly is staying in their houses. They don't know.
Well, you seem to be, seeing a lot of loopholes in this bill, and you seem again to suggest that wabaddewo okupapirira mukuyise bagulino.
And I have been I've read from one feeble thinker who says I like being controversial because I want to attract public attention. That is stupid. There are so many ways I can attract public attention. Actually, if I put my voice to, if I said no, if I supported what Parliament did, I would actually have more public attention, because that's where Ugandans are. Majority of Ugandans, 98% of Ugandans, if not 99% of Ugandans, detest homosexuality. And I'm among the 99. I detest homosexuality. I cannot practice it. I cannot imagine it. I have never tried it. I don't want it. I don't even want to know.
But you're opposing the bill that is against it.
Now, that's
the contradiction.
This is why we need to be understood.
That's the contradiction in you. You're saying you're among the 99% of Ugandans who detest homosexuality. Parliament has come out with a law, with a bill that criminalizes anything gay in the country. And you're saying you're going to challenge it in court if it is accepted.
You want to say before this law, it was okay to do homosexuality in Uganda? Before this law?
It was not okay.
It has always been a crime. Homosexuality has always been a crime. From the times of King Solomon in the Bible to the Constitution of 1960-something in Uganda, from the time this country started, homosexuality has always been a crime. With the prescribed punishments in our culture, traditionally, there are those punishments known. But also in the law books, there are punishments known. I told you that there are already 4 people who are in prison over homosexuality. That they were arrested, they were tried, prosecuted, and they were convicted of this kind of.
But the proponents of this law, Sir Simon, say that the laws we have, or we have, because this is not yet a law in the country, but the existing laws from the penal code don't touch things like recruitment, don't address things like promotion. And so they thought that because times have changed, the country needed a law that addresses the two.
Recruitment.
Recruitment.
What do you call recruitment?
And when you look at the screen again, look at those punishments again. Number 2 talks about recruitment. If our producer can show it again to us. When you look at number, that's number, let's get back. There is one that talks about punishment for recruitment. Okay. In number 4 actually. A person recruiting children into homosexuality is punished for 20 years.
That one I agree.
20 years.
That one I agree.
Recruitment. So the penal code does not talk about recruitment.
That one I agree 100%. Recruitment of children.
So you appreciate the law?
Because first, the children don't understand what they are doing. We assume they don't understand what they are doing. 2, whoever recruits them into that, against their own sense of judgment that they cannot know what they are doing, commits an offense, and I agree entirely.
So now you're agreeing that we needed a law to address
Yes, I agree there was need for a law. But which type of law did you need? An amendment of the Penal Code Act or a different law for this? A law that has broadened, has defined homosexuality. We had those practicing it. Now the law has broadened the scope of homosexuality to include those doing it, the landlords on whose houses those doing it stay, those who talk about it, the photographer or communicator whose language or sentences or pictures are deemed to be promoting it. It is now becoming broader. So the enemies against this law are going to be more than the ones we had before. Because these are sexual offenses committed in private. It is rare to find people openly promoting them, but they happen. Let's look at the issue of recruitment. How is one recruited into a sexual offense? How? Recruited, how?
How?
The recruitment.
That's a very serious question.
You understand? Because, I don't know, Adam, you have daughters, I have daughters.
I have a daughter also.
I know for sure that my daughter will one day marry.
True.
I also know that at one time my daughter will have sex.
True.
I cannot tell when she first had it.
Or when she will have it first.
When she will have it first. And now, the day she has it, she will not consult me. I will never know. I don't even know whether she has had it. Now, the person who will advance to her a love affair and have sex with her for the first time will be the person who will have recruited her into sex. But I don't know. Only her and the other one will know who recruited, when and why and how. Tell me how the law can look for that recruitment.
Maybe they talk about the children in this law. They're talking about children.
That's why I say that children do not know what they are doing. They have no ability to make decisions their own. So whoever recruits children, recruiting children, and now we must define what you are calling recruiting children. Recruiting children.
The law should have defined what is to recruit children
into this. I hope you also know that children on their own adventure. There are many things, many sexual offenses like incest that children commit, brother to sister, even when they are below 18, that we don't know. And they have no parental consent. You just leave them home. You're here like I am here. You hope they are home. You believe when they wake up, they'll have tea. After they'll prepare lunch. After lunch, they'll continue. But while you are away, the things they are adventuring into, you will never know unless a big problem comes out. And so, who do you think recruited this person in this? Who are the people recruiting homosexualities here? Who is going to come and say, right, my work here is to recruit? Because you don't say, you, come, I want you to start testing this. No. Somebody may even stay, like we take our children to go and stay with their uncles. They'll go and stay there. They just see people doing these things and they don't know. You don't tell them.
Can mature people be recruited in this?
Mature people?
Yes.
I think they are the most recruited.
Because there are claims that some of the people who are recruited in this,
what do you call recruiting,
go in for economic gains. Nti oli ayina sente mugagga babitaddemu sente, so
akugamba nti
jangu tubikole ng'akusuubiza motoka, nyumba, sente n'ebirala. Maybe that's why they call it.
Basuubiza muntu mukulu ng'obwongo bwe butegeera asobola okwesalirawo ng'alaba nti bw'awaayo ennyuma afuna emmotoka emusanyusa, and I get bothered with that one.
Now, but again, look at this law on that, Sir Simon. Etteeka lino n'okw-identifying obw-identifying nti oli gay musango mu Uganda, just to say that I am gay, ndi muli wa bisiyaga, just that musango, and you go for 20 years in jail.
It has always been so. It has always been so. There is no day in Uganda, pre-independence or post-independence, that it was okay to openly confess that you're gay and the society looks at you scot-free. Even before this law, the formal laws, you know, the judicial court system would handle you. Our cultural laws, prescriptions, like in my tradition, would handle you. In my village, Buyuge, in Kaliro. I imagine if they knew you were homosexual, they would get you out of the village. Bakugudia kuchalo, bugudia, I said that one cannot stay here.
You're like a reject.
Atola abagoba balogoba nkuba kasatira nti Shafiki oyo buli wajja ku kyalo kuno enkuba tetonya. Nebo kinagana Shafiki bwayita ono mu sente enkuba nebwe badde eraga ngenda kutonya. Tedda mu kutonya. Tumwetegereza nnyo fenna oyo yalemesa enkuba okutonya. Bagoba ku kyalo.
Okay.
So it has always been, you must understand that it has always been crime. It has always been out of order. It has always been an offense in Uganda to be gay. Leave alone to speak about it. Is actually today is the first time we are getting opportunity to speak openly about this thing called gay. Openly, so widely, so much, openly, extensively, comprehensively. Before then, ngane chigambo okuchisa mukamwa tutya. I've been arguing, people saying okulia. I said no, remove okulia from ebisiyaga. Gamba abakola. Ngabo gamba muntu nti oli yakola oli olubuto. Gamba nti abakola ebisiyaga. Nebo ganti okulia is a positive thing. Then ganti ate okulia ebisiyaga. In one way you have a positive word, a promotive word against a wrong thing. You understand? So even the diction, the language that okulia ebisiyaga, bw'okyogera ng'omwana ayogera awulira nti okulia nga tamanyi nti okulia is very good. Some of our children will imagine that okulia ebisiyaga is as equal like okulia emmere endala, and so they get into inquiring, what is this other thing about? That's when they start adventuring on their own, and then you see somebody.
Let's get back to what we saw in Parliament on Tuesday. Nearly 450 members of Parliament attended plenary out of the 529. The 450 included those who attended physically and those who were on Zoom. So nearly 75% of Parliament or of legislators were actually present, and so issue a quorum will not come this time around as it was in 2014. But again, to you, what does that speak?
One, I must let you know that every leader has his own style. What I think the greatest attribute that Muchala Anita Among has is her capacity to read and concentrate on her job. Anita Among, unlike Rebecca Kadaga, first of all knows that is a Speaker of Parliament. That her power begins and ends, that her being Speaker begins and ends with Parliament. And therefore, she will not allow anyone in whatever language or form to play around with the Parliament. You have tested this yourself. You can do anything else. Do anything else.
But what?
You have tested this yourself.
You? Me?
Yes.
Adam?
Yes.
Me in my capacity?
Yes, you have tested it.
Individual capacity?
Yes, you have tested it.
Me?
Yes.
That what?
That Anita Among is no joke.
I
will tell you, joke with anything else, but not Parliament and her name.
Sir Simon Muyanga Lutaaya tutambula fenna okuva ku ssaawa ziri 3 mpaka ssaawa 5 tukuba tochi mu bikoze amawulire weekend. Wiki esanikiddwa debate ya anti-homosexuality bill 2023 Parliament gyayisizza ku lunaku olwokubiri, and a lot has since followed. We are digging deeper in that and going behind the headlines okwongera okutegeera bulungi ensonga eno. Wetwogerera President Yoweri Museveni ye mulindwa yekka. Will he assent to that bill so it can become an act of Parliament, or he will stand by what he said the other day ng'ennaku z'omwezi 16 omwezi ogwokusatu bwe yali ayogerako eri Parliament Kololo nanga nti tujja kwetegereza abakugu balina okutubuulira, is this nature or nurture? That we await and see. But again, Sir Simon, you concluded.
And I think that's where I was telling you why there were many members of Parliament. That Speaker Anita Among has very well cultivated friendship, obedience, submission, and respect for members of Parliament. How she does it, no one knows. But at least the level of obedience, the level of cohesion, togetherness, solidarity that the 11th Parliament has is unprecedented. And therefore, because she has mastered that, MPs will always show up on a subject that they know that the Speaker has interest in. And they will participate according to her wish. That's a plus for a good leader. Because there is no sense in leading people at a parallel discretions. They are taking a different direction, you also take a different direction. So what I know is that for the Speaker of Parliament now, Anita Among, the issue of quorum will never rise again. Never again. Because the issue of quorum dogged so much of Kadaga's time. I think there are like 4 laws that were challenged in court for lack of quorum. I think when Madam Anita comes in and realizes that we need to do parliamentary business, and business is about MPs, she has sorted out the issue of quorum. So on anything, call it strong or light, weak or strong, heavy or light, good or bad, that the Speaker wants MPs to come to duty, they will come.
They will come.
They will come.
Well, briefly again, let's look into...
Now, that's the unique mobilization skill
she has.
She has. Because for her, if she sets foot on something, it must be done. That's why these members of Parliament did not even have as much time to think about this or that deal or be absent, because she warned them before the law was made, said we are about to introduce a law on homosexuality. And he said, this time round, you clergy and the public, watch your MPs. There will be not the eyes or the nays have it. It will be by show of hands. And then she left. Okay. And already made the order.
I still need to get, I would still like to hear more from what you call emotions that were displayed in Parliament on that day. Kubanga, Sir Simon Muyanga, if you followed submissions abaka kuolwo, buli mbaka yali avaayo nga akugamba nti ekikolwa kino kibi nnyo tetulina kubeera nga tukiwomwaganya. Nalaba Honorable Musa Echeru ngagamba alina n'amasomero ge yagendamu n'asanga abaana ng'emabega baabayuzaayuza. I need to
ababayuzaayuza bali luddawa. Yagamba nti ababayuzaayuza bali luddawa.
Abo teyaboogerako.
Kubanga ntugambye nti nasanga nga baabayuzaayuza era baabano ne mbaleeta ne bwe nabatwala ku poliisi, bannaye poliisi yabakwata nako baabatana buti baaba celebratinga. Abo we yasanga bayuzizza abalala ennyuma bali luddawa. Atugambye nabakwata ne mbakwasa ab'obuyinza nga ne bujulizi weebuli ne bwe bayiza weebali ne munnange ekyewuunyisa baba celebrating of celebratings ne babawana birabo where Ugandans, all Ugandans know that that's not part of their sex orientation. It is new to them, it is strange to them, it is unheard of in the Ugandan culture. Now, if there are any persons trying to promote it and bring it into our culture, then the right thing to do is the Museveni statement.
We are getting to that. Do you think this bill will pass the legal test?
No, it will not.
It will not.
It will not. It will not. Man, look at first of all the sentences it prescribes are already provided for in other laws, or if they are lighter than what is already provided. So I was looking for debate. You know, Jacob Olanya used to challenge members of parliament to say, when you are going to debate, have substance. He was very much about it. He says, please, as a member of parliament, when you get to an opportunity to debate, back up your debate with research, with the facts, with the sense.
The other one said, Chaleva, the sweetest, I mean,
you understand?
If you hear people
so now,
discuss
the substance that we want to find out, because I've said Omo has been here, is what Museveni said. Is it nature
or nurture?
Or nurture? It's important to examine those two.
Come again?
It is important.
The president said,
is it nature or nurture?
Let's look at it. Producer, just show us what the president said on this when he met parliament the other week on March 16th. Is it nature or nurture? Let's watch it.
The homosexuals are deviations from normal. Why? Is it by nature or by nurture? Sex in Uganda and maybe in other parts of Africa is confidential. Even heterosexuality, even the heterosexuals, they do it confidentially. How do we come to know that you are a homosexual unless you publicize it? We shall discuss all this.
Stop. Discuss all this. That is the President of the Republic of Uganda and is asking, is it nature or nurture?
Now, nsasira nnyo mwami Museveni ono kubanga ebintu ebisinga byategeera ne byalaba abantu bateekwa okubitegeera nabo n'okubiraba nabo tebabiraba. Otherwise, Mr. Museveni yaleka a very good test to parliament. Bwe yagamba twagala kwetegereza njala bizza mu Luganda babitegeere bulungi kubanga waliwo bempulidde abawutta abalowooza nti nange mpagira ebisiyaga nga bwe kibalowooza ne batategeera ki kye twogerako nti oyinza okanga mulowooza mboze kulwanyisa bisiyaga ate ozze kubipromotinga. Lino etteeka kyo liri pro-basiyazi teriri anti-basiyazi. It is in essence when you read it and examine it, it is actually pro them.
Really?
Yes, it gives them a better platform.
It's not anti.
You'll find out. So Mr. Museveni says, we need to find out, is it nature? Abantu bano abaalo omuze gw'ekisiyaga guno ogubaddewo okuva Katonda lwe yatonda ensi ne guyita mu myaka gy'abakabaka Sulemaani, bakabaka Dawudi n'abalina abakazi abangi ne mu biseera talowooza nti ensi yali ewulira nnyo Katonda era omuze guno gwaliwo guli mu butonde bw'abantu nti oli azalibwa nature guli mu jiini zo nti olwokuba jjajjawo yali musiyazi naawe kiyinza okudda. It's a
question, Mr. Museveni.
It's a question left. Is it by nature
or nurture?
Nature. Nature kyategeeza oba gukuzibwa bukuzibwa. That somebody nurtures it into you. Ntiguyinza okujja ne tukikuyingizaamu n'obeera just nurtured into it ng'enkuza y'abaana baffe oba okusinza ku mwana waakulira n'ebyalaba nga abantu bakola we guva. Because until you find out the cause of this, you cannot solve anything. You cannot, this is, is it, what causes this? Why should a man leave the women we have and want to live with a fellow man? Why should a man avoid the rightly created thing for what we think is wrong? Is it about exploration, that somebody wants to know what this other hole does? What is it about?
Do you think Parliament answered that question?
And Mr. Museveni concludes by saying,
we shall discuss.
That even the heterosexuals, the woman to man, do this in confidence, in private. And so the homosexuals also do it in private. How shall we know that we're homosexual? And he ends with a statement. We shall discuss all this. I want to ask you, did the discussion take place?
You're asking me?
Yes.
The president said this on 16th March, and just this week, Parliament passes the law.
So did the discussion take place?
That clearly shows it did not take place.
Is homosexuality by nature or nurture?
We are yet to discuss that.
But the law is passed. So, nze ndi mulaini ya mwami Museveni because I am a scholar. Nze ndi musomi. Ndi wa research. Sigamba bugamije nti kati bannange bagamba waliwo abantu bagenda okuleeta emmere enzungu gye bayita GMOs tetubyagala ebyo emmere bibi nnyo bigenda kutta abantu birimu obutwa birimu obutwa ye emmere etaliimu butwa ekumala weeri because that's what we have been doing nti okay tuga nti birimu obutwa nze saagala bintu ebyo bye bafuuyira eddagala ebyo ebintu ebyo bafuuyira bibaamu obutwa bye batafuuyira ddagala byo biri luddawa nti ettooke limala omwaka mulamba n'ekitundu okuwa ettooke naye baraga nti obbanga eryo ddene nnyo okubanga munoonya emmere tulinawo ensigo gye tuleese ey'ekitooke ensukusa nga lyo mu myezi 6 ogw'omusanvu oba ofuna ettooke mbigaana buganya oba mbawulirize nti oke kikola kitya
oba Parliament yategeera bulungi mwami Museveni ku olwo because President Sir Simon wabanga akugambye nti tulina okusooka okwetegereza oba ddala kino kya butonde oba kiyige buyizi oba kikopperere.
Saagala kugamba nti baamutegeera ne baalina ekibapika
ki
ekyo kyetulemeredde okutegeera ffenna
oba pressure y'abantu public
ffenna kyetutannakkiriza kyetutannategeera abantu kye bateekwa okutegeera wateekwa okubaawo ekintu kyetutalaba ekipika abalwanyisa n'abawagira etteeka lino because it came from the blue. Banange obusiyazi bususse nnyo mu masomero kiyitiridde biki bususse nnyo. Where are the victims? Can we get a police report to tell us that we have in the last 2 months recorded 1,000 cases of homosexuality, 20 from Busoga, 30 from Bukedi, 12 from Mankole and the others?
Can I give you information?
Are there those statistics?
Let me give you information.
Give me information.
Just to support what you're saying. Police report eya obuzi bw'emisango eya 2023 actually yafumizidwa mu 2023 but elaga 2022 nga kyetulaga the cases za rape cases za defilement n'obumenyi bw'amateeka obulala.
How many cases?
Teina where you, at least I have the report.
You have the report.
Teina where you get the cases as a homosexuality.
Very good. That now poses 2 questions. Is there no homosexuality in Uganda, or it is too hidden that the law cannot see it? 2 things. What is that aggregated case, the pushing factor? Erese bino byonna bye tulaba obukambwe enjogera and unprecedented unity nga bannadini kye boogera bannabyafuzi abawegera government kye boogera bannabyafuzi abavuganya government kye boogera parliament kye yogera bannadini kye boogera president nga bonna bali wamu ne bakwatira wamu ensonga eno bonna ne batambulira wamu bonna okulaba nga buli kimu kitambula bulungi. What is that factor? What is the force behind this? Because what unategera that force? Because the way the law came, bano Asumani yajja etteeka liriteekwa okuyita era ebyatone gye byonna byayogera kale olaba twanterezezaamu wano ne tutereza butereza kino byonna tewali yamuwuliriza. But I am asking the legal advisor, the chief legal advisor of the president is the Attorney General.
True.
So in trying to assent to this law, who is Museveni going to consult? Parliament or the Attorney General?
Okay, let's even get to that. Given what you're asking and what the president said on 16th March, do you see him assenting to this bill?
I doubt he will do. I doubt he will do. I really doubt.
You doubt?
I doubt he will do. I doubt he will do, yeah. He may likely ask Parliament to discuss more of the issues that we have highlighted.
Because it seems the president is also still looking for answers to certain questions.
Parliament said that, you know, we talked to Dr. Chris Baryomunsi, who is a medical doctor,
a PhD holder.
A PhD holder, and he said this one is not by nature. Baryomunsi alone.
Tajibwako hadithi yeka.
Tajibwako hadithi. It's not enough to qualify research on this one. We need to examine, has there been research done on this subject? Any medical research done on this subject of homosexuality? What deviates people's minds? What causes this? Is it genetic in them? What is it? Because for us here, we actually believe there are things that are not genetic, but we believe in our line. For example, committing suicide.
Yeah.
They trace and say, omuze gw'abantu okwessaamu omuguwa weeguli wano. Ne jjajjaawo gundi yakikola ne wayita emirembe ebino omulala n'akino akantu ako ka mulimu ne jjajjaawe n'omwenge guno ogumu guno gula abantu gwe banywa ekiro n'emisana abamu gulemu gati jjajjange yagunywa kitange n'agunywa nange ngunywa n'abaana bagunywa omwenge. You understand?
Yeah.
Oli abantu nga n'obuuza kiki naye kiri mu musaayi gwe nti omusaayi gw'abantu gusaba omwe nga bagunywera ddala nti eyo famire yeemanyiddwa
nywi
bawaddanga. Okitegedde?
Yes.
So Mr. Museveni had set us on a discussion which needed to be given time.
I agree entirely.
You understand? Is it by nature or by nurture?
So in the essence, you're saying Parliament should have thoroughly sought answers to these questions.
Should have answered. Parliament should have actually answered. Parliament should have answered. This law should have come out to answer those questions. Once we get the answers and say, okay, if it is by nature or it is by nurture, how do we address it?
How do we deal with them? Okay. Sir Simon, so many of those questions are going to be coming up, but let's look at how the world is reacting. I've seen international organizations, you know, castigating Uganda over this. Many calling out Mr. Museveni not to assent to it. If we can just look at a clip of the press secretary to the White House Makaga Gamukulembeze wa Gwanga eri America ngono simulala ye Karine Jean-Pierre yaga nti ebbago lino kyamu nnyo era bo balowooza nti ekyasinza okubeera eri obulabe mu nsi yonna ate era nti likyobola eddembe ly'obuntu nga ligenda kuzza n'emabega. The successes Uganda zeekoze mu kulwanyisa obulwadde bwa Mukenenya. Let's listen to what this lady said.
We have grave concerns with the passage of the Anti-Homosexuality Act, AHA, by the Parliament of Uganda yesterday, and increasing violence targeting LGBTQI+ persons. If the AHA is signed into law and enacted, it would impinge upon universal human rights, jeopardize progress in the fight against HIV/AIDS, deter tourism and invest in Uganda, and damage Uganda's international reputation. The bill is one of the most extreme anti-LGBTQI+ laws in the world. Human rights are universal. No one should be attacked, imprisoned, or killed simply because of who they are or whom. We have grave concerns.
wa White House nga kuensonga ze agamba nti kutyobola ddembe ly'abuntu kigenda kutattana ekifaananyi kya Uganda mu nsi yonna n'ebirala. But again, we also need to look at some of the tweets. Our producers ngo tulaga ku tweets z'abamu ku bakungu mu United Nations, ne United Nations yennyini n'eggwanga erya America lyennyini nga bongera okukaatiriza ensonga eno. But Simon, the world seemed to be telling the president not to assent to this bill. Do you think the head of state, newankubadde yalirowooza nti etteeka tulyetaaga, do you think he will succumb to pressure?
That has been the problem of our country. We suffer from identity.
What defines us?
Where do we belong? Do we belong to them or do we belong to ourselves? America is good and America is bad. When is America good to us and when is America bad? Is America our friend? Is the Western world our friends? Or are they even our brothers? Because when you come out and tell me that you want to be a global village has a global culture, a global tradition, a tradition of freedom and liberty. Now, freedom doesn't mean allowing people to do only what you want. Freedom and liberty is allowing people and accommodating those who at many times do the things you don't want. So, I am asking Ugandans, are Americans our friends? Are they our brothers? Do we want to be part of the global village? Do we also realize that in being part of the global village, there are things we like and things we don't like? What's the way forward? Do we accept the things we don't like for the sake of our brothers or for the sake of a global village? Or do we resist and say, no, never, irrespective of what we are supposed to do? Now, at the level of Mr. Museveni, and I think that's why I want to help him, I and maybe some members of parliament have thought about the issue of homosexuality from a micro level. An issue of just pass the law for my constituency to say, no, I've passed the law. That's all. I said, no. My people, didn't you see? And it ends at that your constituents so that Mr. Muyanga voted against homosexuality. At Babe Chefechi right to kulindanga muchonka. That's at micro level. Now at Mr. Museveni's level, it is a bit bigger. It's macro thinking. He must consider his own interests as a person, the Yoweri Museveni, the interests of Yoweri Museveni as the President of the Republic of Uganda, his interests as a Christian Yoweri and a Ugandan as Alibwa Rakitura, his interests as a brother of other nations, that Uganda, because how is Uganda faring in the eyes of the other nations? His relations, Uganda's relations with the EU and the UN, the global outlook on human rights, the global outlook on Uganda's position, the global outlook on the person of Yoweri Kaguta Museveni. He has to think and balance all of these interests. For him, it is not, he's not like a constituency MP whose role was to come to parliament, first attend, say yes or no, get out of parliament, ask your people whether what you did was right, and that it ends there. For him, it is a little more than that.
Okay.
Actually, far more than that. Because I believe that by now, Mr. Museveni will not be telling you, he has received phone calls from the global watchdogs.
That is possible.
He must. He may not say, but he must be receiving calls from the likes of the Bidens, from the likes of the President of France, President of Canada, and the other countries to say, hey, our brother.
Maybe that brings us to this tweet. Producer Tulage tweet here, Secretary of State w'eggwanga lya US, Anton Blinken. Let's look at what he said. This is the tweet. This is a top government official of the US.
And the person who advises the president of the US on foreign policy. This person advises the president on how, the president of the US on how America should work with
other countries.
Now read the tweet.
He says, the Anti-Homosexuality Act passed by the Ugandan Parliament yesterday would undermine fundamental human rights of all Ugandans, and it could reverse gains in the fight against HIV and AIDS. We urge government of Uganda, or the Ugandan government, to strongly reconsider the implementation of this legislation. This is the US urging the president and government to reconsider. We should reconsider implementing or even passing it into an act. There's another tweet here that our producer should again show to us. When you look at your screen, again, Guariko Baba TV, you would see that, I don't know whether you can have that other tweet, but as we get it, it is here. Senate, Foreign Relations. This is how the
committee.
Yes, this is how they are regarding this legislation. They are calling it abhorrent, something that is detested, something that is unacceptable.
What is true is that we now have the most harsh law on homosexuality in the whole world.
In the whole world.
No other country has a law like ours.
Let's look at what they're saying. The abhorrent legislation passed yesterday in Uganda places the LGBTQ plus community at grave risk and is an affront to all Ugandans' rights. We must respond. This is what I wanted. We must respond with concrete measures, including targeted sanctions and reduced assistance to the abusive Ugandan military, as we did in 2014.
He has actually summed up our country. You know, this is what you need to read. When you are reading, you need to be careful and understanding some of these words. That this secretary of the committee is actually summing up our country as a Ugandan military. Be careful when you're reading these things. To the abusive Ugandan military. He has summed up our country as a military state.
I had not,
that's
conceptualized.
That's why you need to think. He has not said the abusive Ugandan democracy. He has not said the abusive Ugandan state.
Or government.
He has not said the abusive Ugandan government. He sums up our country. Because of this, he says, reduced assistance to the abusive Ugandan military. Why call us a military state on the issue of homosexuality? Why? Because the language of the law, the sentence it provides, are too harsh that one would imagine they can only work in a military regime. Because, you know, the military code is always tougher than the civilian code. There are many things I can do as a civilian that the military will never do. One of them being now, that for me even now, I am debating what the president said. At liberty, I am debating, agreeing with this and disagreeing with it. Some of what he said, nobody in the military has the liberty I have now. You understand? Yes. No soldier whatsoever can in public debate like I'm debating now what the president said.
Apart from one.
So apart from one. Okay. Now I understand. Apart from one. Now you see the difference between our civilian code of conduct and the military code of conduct. Now, this man gives us an impression that the law was militaristic, was harsh.
This is the US.
That's the US.
Not just the man, but this is the US.
Yes, this is the US.
Viewing this law in that way.
And me from the whole tweet, like I want to put the tweet again.
It is there. Let's go down.
Take it up.
Let's
go down. I want you to look at the Senate Foreign Relations. These are foreign relations, those who deal with us.
Let's slide down
in the whole of that tweet. I find the US's claim on the gains, that this will worsen the gains, will affect the gains we have had on HIV, AIDS, and the rest. I find that deceptive. That's deceptive. I do not think there are many cases spread of HIV spread as in, but in the whole thing they have. To me, I would underline the words Ugandan military. Okay, that's where the sense is Ugandan
military.
It is an expression of anger that the US has about this law, the expression of disappointment, but also an opportunity for us to know that if you ask the United States to tell you about Uganda in one summary statement,
that's how they view us.
It's called the Ugandan military.
As we are going for a break, just briefly, let's have that tweet again as we are going for the break in just a minute. Sir Simon, now we have these sanctions that are being threatened, that we have threats of imposing sanctions on the country, but perhaps also on some individuals behind this.
The speaker has assured us and said, to hell with their money.
No, but you said these are just words.
No.
America, maybe
there are other nations, because the speaker talks to many other people. He said, to hell with their money. They can do it with their money.
Can we compromise or backtrack on this position for purposes of, maintaining the money we get from these people?
The hot stone is now in Mr. Museveni's trousers. Akayinja akoocha ak'omuliro tukasudde mu mpale ya Mwami Museveni. Engeri gyakawutanya kasobole okuvamu nga tekamwokeza. It is now, actually that's what Parliament has done. They have made their duty. They are now clean. In the eyes of their constituents, they have said, for us, now they have pushed the war to Mr. Museveni.
The Inside Out ko Baba TV. Sir Simon Muyanga Lutaaya gambya kayinja akoocha katikali wa Mwami Museveni. Baba TV, Adam Kungu, Sir Simon Muyanga Lutaaya, Inside Out. The Inside Out. Tukujira ekiri munda netukyeta kungulu. You always follow news, listen to news. Naye byotategedde fe tujja ntubitematema buli lwakutaano ku ssaawa 3 okutuusa ku ssaawa 5 n'osobola okuba ng'otambula naffe buterevu nnyo. Please keep the messages coming. I think I can go through some of, or later on we shall be able to sample some of the comments you are putting on social media.
I would really love to hear those comments.
Tusobole okutambula fenna. I don't know whether we can have them on Facebook.
Because I realize that some Ugandans have not matured yet. Debate means that we are not supposed to agree all the time. So the American saying that if two people agree all the time, then one of them is not necessary.
I wish we could have some.
So it is healthy for you to agree.
Some clip on the screen there. Yeah, Parliament got checking out screens of Facebook, what people are saying.
Yeah, because
the producer of I would love to see what people are saying on Facebook. I see so many of them there, we need to go ahead and look at it. But Sir Simon Muyanga Lutaaya, as we check on the screens here, many people seem to suggest that they're in support of the law, and they hope maybe Parliament ya Uganda kyeyakoze kyekisinga kyekituufu. It was long overdue. We needed it. I don't know.
Long overdue. Anti kati abo balabira ebintu wanjawulo nange wembirabira. Eriyo okulaba ebyolwaleero. It is allowed in order. Nebayo okulaba ebyenkya. Kati nze ndaba ebyaleero nenjalo bigiragana n'ebyenkya. Kugambye nti boga nti ffe tuli ekyalo kimu, ekintu kyonna kye tukola nekitugatta ffenna nga tuli ddiini emu, empisa zaffe ziba zezimu n'obuwangwa bwaffe. Buli musiraamu ayingira omuzikiti akimanyi nti ojjamu engatto. So ekyo kikolebwa abasiraamu bonna okuva yonna gye bali, abasiraamu abali mu Uganda, abasiraamu abali mu Saudi, buli woolaga wonna kasoba nga oli musiraamu naga nti eyo masjid, tewali ateekwa kuga nti jjamu engatto, era tewali ateekwa kuga nti funa wuzu, okimanyi gwe kennyini nti ogenda okusaala nfuna wuzu. So when you want to call this country, the word a global village. A global village means you're a global village with a global culture. Now, the global culture you want to talk about does not only mean the things you agree with. No, it also involves the things you disagree with. I'll give you an example. All of the Bagisu circumcise Embalu. It's not that all of them love it. No. Others are just forced into it. Others are arrested into it. It's not that they love it. No, but it's their culture. So even the Bagisu wouldn't love circumcision find themselves into it because they are forced by the culture. Now we must understand that if we want to be a global village and adopt a global culture, the global culture is freedom, nothing but total freedom. It is rights, nothing less but rights. Rights don't mean that only rights that you agree with. No. Rights including those that you disagree with. Okay. This is my level of understanding, my level of discussion of this subject. And I know that it is likely to disturb other people because it may be quite a future thing, not today. But I've just told you that if you are Muslims, you have a common culture and tradition as Muslims. If you are Bagisu, you have a common culture as a Bagisu. You may disagree with that culture, but that's what it is because you belong to that community. Okay, let's hear what we are a global village. We must appreciate that. And we have accepted the global culture. Then we must swallow a bitter pill that this is what the global culture says. Requires freedom, nothing but total freedom. Ko Facebook, this is what is happening here. Your comments are here. I beg the president not to sign this law, but on the other hand, to whip the convicts silently, because it's now on record. Parliament has already put a milestone on publicizing the acts of homos. Ye Alfred Magara, bwati wagambi. Then on Agambie, ye Rollins Agambie, I really appreciate, I really appreciate what you're saying. Okay, webale nyonaga, but on the other, Adam. Yes. Freedom of speech means read the comments. Okay. Positive and negative. Okay. Yes. But on the other way, when we treat such acts to eliminate such people, you're going to find the other side of opposition. The opportunists will come out to complain because we have seen many cases. When government comes out to defend the people from danger like terrorism, and you criticize and politicize the matter. That? You did not read the tweet. Who is Alfred that? Magara. Alfred Magara, yes. You politicize the matter. Then I ask myself a question. When will the president take a right decision to his people? Because we have seen others saying that to talk about homosexuality was a division, deviation. I think a diversion. Was a diversion for Mr. Museveni, and added that when he signs the law, he will maybe target an individual like Kyagulanyi and the group who reportedly associate with those people. Kindly leave our president to perform and play his role as the president. Alfred Magala. I am live in Abu Dhabi. Thanks for the show. Lutaaya is either confused or he wants CNN, BBC, Al Jazeera, etc. to talk about him. Otherwise, the entire country is okay with the bill. And we know some Africans, they understand after danger. So, Mwami Lutaaya, a day you will be informed that your 7-year child was abused homosexually a child by a 30-year-old teacher. That's when your mind will wake up. Now, DJ Texas Pro. Let me get to DJ Texas Pro. I did not even know that I come here to work for CNN and BBC. You work for Baba TV. If I have gotten to those levels that BBC and CNN want to talk about me, oh, so be it. What a great opportunity. But it's not what I came to do today. That's one. Number two, I know that a 35-year-old teacher will sodomize my 7-year-old boy. You know what will happen? The 35-year-old teacher will be imprisoned for committing an offense. Because my 7-year-old... Because my
the existing ones.
And the existing laws, even without the Basel bill. Because my 7-year-old child is a child who did not consent to this. But if the 35-year-old teacher sodomized my 30-year-old son, and really the two agreed, I will condemn the act. I will say, my son, you, my own son, that's what you have done, but that will not stop him from being my son.
Okay, but again, you've also said it here that recruiting children is unacceptable.
That's unacceptable because they're children. We are not even debating the issue of children. We are debating the issue of those who are free.
Let's look at other comments from the people. Okay, Onagambie, leave the homosexual to have their peace. I think everyone here commenting on LGBTQIA community has his or her own problems in their own houses. So Bambi, mind your business.
Good.
Ye Rollins, na yakafana nyindako kamuwala.
She's okay.
Kale.
She's okay.
Onagamba, to be gay is nature and natural. It is blood, childhood. Please understand people and mind of other things.
Now that's what we want to medically prove. That's what we want to prove. That should be the discussion. That's where Uganda should be.
And that's what the president sought to know the other time.
Is it nature or nurture? Is it natural that you enjoy different things? The answer is yes and no. There are things that Adam you like, that I don't like. They're actually things I eat, me, and they disturb my body system. Nga sibiria tulina n'abantu nga n'ekika ky'emmere kyalya nga bw'ali nnyama omubiri gwonna gumusiiwa. Do you know this thing? Ng'ennyama bw'ogirya omubiri gukola ki? Abalala bw'atagiryaako alwala. So there are things that that's what we need to investigate.
Okay. Onagamba, Muyanga, you can challenge a clause, not a bill. Bamita Twebaze Jackson.
Mutuf.
Onomula Nagamba, I support Parliament.
There are clauses I agree with.
Yes.
But my entire agreement was with the Attorney General. Just improve the existing Penal Code Act.
Mugume Robert Agambe, I support Parliament for passing this law, but I also urge them to consider other issues like corruption. Mugume Robert. Onagamba, you are
that's now political debating. To say that you want them to come in big numbers to debate other issues of corruption. Now that's political. When issues about corruption come up, we'll still ask the Speaker to use the same might she uses to mobilize members of Parliament to be present. And I know they will be there. Okay.
2 or 3 more comments so we can conclude the show this morning. Onagambie, mwebali kutuweleza ku Baba TV, thanks. Mebo Mambire, I've enjoyed today's show. Onagamba, ye ago Zebron. I can't let people close to me suffer just because of selfish people. What I witnessed from victims is enough for me to call this agenda evil. Ye ego Zebron. He seemed to have experienced so many, has seen so many victims of this. And many other comments here. Keep them coming. Baba Television Uganda, you'll see a live stream there. This is what is there now. The debate and discussion will continue. The questions, the comments, and everything. Ogede noberanga obiraba buterevu nnyo kumukutu gwafe. Kale, Sir Simon, now that we are about to conclude, we've discussed literally everything. What do you think should be another area for Parliament to give attention, just like they did ko Chisiyaga Mugwanga?
Parliament would, I would love Parliament to give attention to 2 things. One, the parish development money. Seriously, the parish development money needs a serious attention. Parliament must continue to ensure that that money reaches everyone. Perhaps that will help to improve the economies of our villages. The other one, I am concerned that I come from a very extremely poor family. I remember when I went to primary 3, sometime in 1988, The school fees then were 333. I mastered the math because it was school fees.
333.
No, so we satu asatu musatu. So batu buzanga. Wamala satu asatu musatu. You understand? Because that was the money. And throughout school, I suffered a lot because I would study and miss so many times at school because of school fees. I struggled. I think God had blessed me with a brain. That's why I have been able to reach where I have reached, but with the assistance of many people. I want Parliament to give attention to the issue of the rising cost of education, to eliminate all barriers, all blocks that affect this education in Uganda, the attaining of education in Uganda. It should be that everybody can afford education and quality education.
Okay. That
I do not need to move from Kampala, from Kali to come to Kampala to get quality education. We should ensure that there is quality education everywhere, and therefore, the reforms that the ministry is undertaking,
the Ministry of Education and
the cabinet. Reforms, yes, and cabinet that Mama Janet is spearheading should be supported. And I want to see the whole Parliament speak. If we talk about uniforms, yes, the other day Professor Muyanga was here. He said, you know, if they are charging you 500,000 for uniforms, what if you got 500,000 and bought clothes? If you go with 500,000 mumivumba, you know how many clothes you'll buy? Very many. For a whole. So he says, it's not about what you put on. It's about what you're going to get from school. And I can tell that I agree with Professor Muyanga of Victoria University that we have come to a time that the uniforms don't matter. We have come to a time, somebody says we want our children to take packed food to school. At first I was opposed to it. Said, but the hygiene, he said, okay, it is an opportunity to teach your people the hygiene. Now teach them, we are now teaching how to pack food, how to reserve it, how to keep it. I said, the same money you pay at school for meals can be the same money you use to pack food.
And you also be up to lunchtime?
Yes, it will also be, it is simply telling, teachers will organize and say, when children arrive in the morning, there is a mess.
Where they put their packed
food. So teachers regulate the eating of the food and find out who among you do not carry food. So you go there, parents will also know that prepare food that is able, that you think you can still have at lunchtime as good. Yeah. So I also agree now that it is also okay to tell parents to pack, teach them to take responsibility for their children if you're claiming. But what I would also urge you is that do not make it mandatory that we must pack. Okay. If there are parents who think, if a particular school believes that they should pack food for their children, allow them to pack. But if a different community believes that for us, no, we trust our school. Let us do it collectively at school. Okay. I also agree that they should be allowed to do it. To me, it is not.
Do you see this Parliament giving such issues attention?
If the Speaker picks interest in it.
It shouldn't be the Speaker alone.
This Parliament is entirely about the Speaker.
Huh?
Yeah.
No, we are having a Parliament of 529 legislators.
But they have a leader. It's like Cabinet and Mr. Museveni. Once Mr. Museveni agree on something, the whole Cabinet will agree. This Parliament, once the Speaker agrees on something, they all go and follow her, which is good. She has invested heavily in cultivating that kind of obedience, that kind of.
Do you think she will pick interest in it? Because the other very popular opinion in Uganda, yes, ensonga y'ekiyaga nkulu naye si yenkulu okusinga ezimu ku nsonga ezibaddewo. Perhaps Parliament should have considered those other issues before neziwa vibe n'eryanyi lye twalabye ku kiyaga, which some people think Parliament didn't do.
Olw'okuba ebisiyaga bino bikolebwa mu kyama, saagala kubuuza nnyo ba MP we bajje Bukambwe. Bayinza okuba nga bamu ku bo mu mpale zaabwe baasiyagibwako nga gye bajja obulumi.
Nze naawe tukomye wano leero. So bwe balakadde.
Okay. Biro byoti.
Eyo gendayo.